Hello and welcome back. So today's video is on how to pass on the faith and some of the materials that I have used over the years and that we have in the house on passing on the faith to older children and so young teens into older teens and older primary school. So I'd say from maybe 12 to 16 or 17 years old. This is what this video is going to be aimed towards. Now, if you haven't, I'm kind of thinking that hopefully by the time your children get to that age, what you're on is a continuation. But if it's not, if you're maybe a recent convert or a revert or just starting off, maybe realising there's a lot of gaps, you can start wherever you are. That's the way life is. You start wherever you are. So we'll go from there. So I'll just launch straight in because, as usual, I have so many books to look at. So I'll just very quickly show you the ones that I already showed you yesterday, which this one here is Totally Catholic, which is a catechism for, I would say, from children up until kind of mid-teen. So you can start here if you're just beginning, or even anyways. So this... Even an adult could actually pick up this book if they feel they just want a kind of a quick overview of the faith, and then this one is on church history, which is always good to know. Now, so with those ones put aside, if you haven't already got a copy of the Catechism of the Catholic Church in your home, I would say get one now. They're really available, and I'd say get the full one. And you can also get the compendium, which is a smaller version and more just shortened, but very, very good as well to have. But I'd say get the full one. You can get a bigger size hardback if you like. And this is very good to have. Now, obviously, you don't really start on the first page of this and make your way through because you probably won't keep it up. But it's very good because it's very, very, very well indexed. So literally, no matter what you have a question about, you can go to the index and have a look. And as well as that, for example, like Lent, you could pick it up and say, I'm going to do 3 points a day in catechism. So really to pass on faith to children, especially older children, young adults, you need to also be improving your own level of knowledge because, it's a lifetime task anyway. You can always know more. So get one of these if you haven't got it. I picked this up one time in a second-hand bookshop. I saw it, Catholicism for Dummies. Now, you might be laughing at it for dummies, but I suppose we're all dummies in some ways. But this is very good because this, if you might know Father John Trujillo, who does Web of Faith on EWTN TV and on the radio show, and another priest, Reverend Kenneth Brighenty. That's probably said wrong, but so they have done this in the format of the For Dummies books. And I am actually a friend, and she's staying with us. She was a teenager at the time. I think she was about 17 or 18. And she she picked up this book. She was looking for a good book because she didn't know too much about the faith, and she loved this. So it's very, very good. I'd recommend this, and it's also well indexed. So you can... that's a good one to have in the house, and it's sort of one that a teenager will kind of pick up, and if it's lying around, they'll have a little look at it. Then this book by Matthew Pinto is Did Adam and Eve Have Belly Buttons? Another 199 other questions from Catholic teenagers. So what this book is for, the market that this is aimed at is for Catholic teenagers talking to their friends, so questions that they're going to come upon in school or among their peers. So and oftentimes they're teenage atheist friends. So this gives them the answers, and it's written in. I've actually bought a lot of this book and given it to my own friends to use for their teens. And very, very good feedback on it. So it goes through just little. It's a question and answer. Sort of format. So the questions that they're going to come upon, what is God? Let's see. How did God create himself? Let's see. Is it okay for Catholics to listen to non-Christian music? How can youth leaders get Catholic teens more excited about their faith. So just and it goes into some of the kind of hot topics as well, the ones that you mightn't be comfortable answering yourself. So this is a very good one. Teenagers will definitely pick it up because you can get the answer in a very short version. So I love this book, very, very good. And there's another one he has is I can't remember the name, but off the top of my head, it has a blue. It's the same format. It has a blue kind of cover on it. Is also a follow up from that one. This is a very good one I picked up one time, and it's actually very good. And I think there's another. I haven't got the second volume of it, which the second volume I can't remember what it's called now, but it's still. I can't remember the second volume, but it's written in a comic book fashion, and it's actually nearly like a sort of philosophy book. So it goes into the does God exist? So it's called The Truth Is Out There by Brendan and no, it's not by Brendan. It's by, who's it by? I don't know who it's by. But it's Catholic Answers have brought this out, and it's very good because it's obviously aimed at that sort of age group, and it goes into kind of the philosophical questions of existence, God's existence, and so on, and it's very good. Our teenagers have kind of all dipped into this from time to time, so they're very good. Then sometimes you have to be kind of opportunistic. And I was in Rome one time, and my husband and I were visiting Rome, and we visited the Basilica of St. Ambrose and St. Charles, and they had a stall at the back of the basilica with all of these that were free that you could take. So I took them, and they're literally just questions and answers. So this was literally just me being opportunistic and saying, I will definitely use these. For example, the primacy of Peter. So the Pope, priestly celibacy. Why? So these sort of ones that are nice, irregular, effective situations. How are they considered? So they're questions that you might not. You might not want to kind of be the one to answer, and it's nice to have it written down because sometimes it's easier. Cohabitation, so those sort of hot topics, the resurrection, a good examination of conscience. So these are literally, how can illness be confronted? The devil, yes to Christ, no to the church, homosexuality, money, is it good or evil? So all of I just picked them. So you never know, just keep your eagle eye out, and sometimes things will just present themselves. So when they do, have them. Because it's good to have, with teenagers, it's good to have a wide range of materials around, because you don't know what's going to interest them at any one moment. So that's the catechesis part. Then for living the moral life, or for living the Christian life, I've just got some really nice books that I have now. Some of my books seem to have disappeared off to with university students up in Dublin, so they're not all here. So I have other books. I'll show them some other time. So this actually one, I'm going to show you this one first, because this is hot off the press. It is literally has been published just a few months ago by this guy, Mark Hamilton, who was the principal of a Catholic secondary school in Dublin for many years. And this is aimed at that sort of demographic. So it's overcoming obstacles to belief in the search for God. So it's a very easy read. So there's not kind of loads of heavy text, to get through. And it goes through the whole the use of freedom, God's existence, its implication for life, and also philosophical questions, but put in a very real way. So this and it is very, very good. I enjoyed this book. I'm only halfway through, but I'm enjoying it, and I know the feedback from other people who have finished it have been very happy with that. So God exists, so what? And it's a good kind of a catchy title as well. I'll get that one. Then this is so good. So a few years ago we were at went to a talk it was during the Eucharistic Congress, which was in Dublin, and there was talks in different churches around Dublin at the time. And this guy, John Pridemore, gave a talk, and he sold this book at the time, and look, he actually signed it, which was nice. All of our teens, girls, and one boy, nearly all girls, but they have all absolutely loved this book. So this guy, John Pridemore, was, so that's him there on the front. He was a kind of gangster, sort of living not the world's best life, and so Pridemore was a vicious and dangerous gangster in London's East End. He left his former life on a quest for truth and found it in God. In The Gangster's Guide to God, Pridemore speaks bluntly about the deception of the world he was in and openly of his journey and the foundations of his new life. So so there's that one there, A Gangster's Guide to God, and From Gangland to Promised Land. I know for a fact all of our teenagers loved this book, and he's such an inspiration and such a nice guy. Very, very good. This one is good to have. George Weigel, who's always very good. This one is The Truth of Catholicism. So what this one is, it goes through different sort of questions that you might not easily be able to answer yourself, but are answered in a very easy way in this book. So where do we find the real world? Liturgy and the extraordinary, ordinary. I'm just kind of flicking through here. The priest as an icon, prayer, how should we live, the moral life, and the laws that liberate. So it's actually just a good one to have. It's a sort of one that you could pick up yourself even. Very, very interesting. This is an older book by Jesus Urtiaga, which is Cynic Tala. He's a priest as far as I know. And it's just for young people on the whole concept of cheerfulness and kind of virtue and so on, and making others happy. Friendly tips for young people. Obviously, some friendly toddler liked the smiley faces and decided to colour it in. But this is a nice little one, and I've given it to all of our teens from time to time. And it's just like little small short meditations. Like there's one, effort. So effort is something that is kind of has been downgraded a bit in our culture. That we want everything immediately, an entitled sort of attitude. Having a tough time. So what to do about that? He didn't hurt anyone. So this thing like, oh, I'm not hurting anyone, it's okay. It addresses that. So this is a really nice book. I really like this one. This one then for older teens that are going off to university or college or out into the workplace. And what this one is, it's by Ascension Press. And what it does is it's called Disorientation, the 13 isms that will send you to intellectual la-la land. How to go to college without using your mind. So what it does is teaches a teen how to recognise the different ideologies that they will definitely meet in college, like relativism, hedonism, progressivism, anti-Catholicism, utilitarianism, consumerism, cynicism, all of these, Marxism, so I would say now more than ever, teens need to be able to know what these things are so as to recognise them when they come upon them, because oftentimes ideology creeps up on a teen, and next thing they're in it because they haven't been equipped into how to spot it, and then knowing it's there and knowing the dangers of it, you're forewarned and forearmed. That's a very good book. And I saw another one similar, I'll have to track it down, that was kind of more up to date, which I suppose went more to socialism and so on, which is really, really kind of very hot at the moment. So all of those sort of topics, your teens need to know about these. So that's a very good book. I recommend it a lot. Then for when it comes to the Bible, there's one other one here, My Path to Heaven, which is I think this is an Ignatius. So it's called My Path to Heaven. This is an old sort of book, but it's newly published. A Young Person's Guide to the Faith. Oh yeah, so it's based on the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius of Loyola. So it's kind of a study, so you go through it bit by bit. So I've been doing this actually with a younger child, and I've done it with kind of sort of that sort of age and up, and little pictures. But the books guide you through what you're looking at in the picture and what to think about, and then like for example, so this little lesson, you can divide it into lessons. The best way of life is the one that will take me to heaven. So you know that thing, what good does it do a man to gain the whole world if he loses his soul? So the best life isn't the one that's necessarily the one that leads to prosperity and fame and fortune. It's the one that you will get to heaven. So this book is very good for that. So that's a nice book, My Path to Heaven. And then the next, so from a Bible point of view, some of my things have disappeared, as I've said, but this I would recommend the Navarre Bibles for doing Bible study or for Bible reading, because you can get them. This is the whole New Testament, but you can get them broken down into the individual books, and you can get them in paperback as well, because it might be a bit heavy carrying the. But what I like about these is that the amount of notes to text. So there's the text, and there's the notes. So they're really detailed notes, but very, very, very well studied and very clearly written. So no matter what passage in the Bible, like look at that, there's the text and then a huge amount of notes here. So I would, I think reading the Bible by yourself and hoping to interpret it is, you can go off in all sorts of rabbit holes. So a guided one is well worth having. So that's that one. And then one of my daughters picked this one up from the Catholic Society that she's in university. It's the Ignatius Catholic Study Bible, and this one is Acts of the Apostles, commentary notes and study questions. So it's kind of the same sort of thing. So it's an Ignatius Press is always very good. So there's the text and there's the notes. And then this is her one, I just found it in her bedroom. So it looks pretty good anyway. So that one there. And then I just think this is nice. This isn't particularly a teenager's book. So I just thought to show it to you. Jesus. So this is one of my favourite illustrators. If you know me in real life, you'll know that picture books are actually my real passion. So this is Gennady Spirin, who is Russian, as far as I know. Yeah, born in Moscow. And he does all these lovely, beautiful illustrations. So this one is about, he does all sorts of books, but this one is about Jesus. So his life in verses. So just has really beautiful. I just think it's nice to have. I'm a big believer in good illustration for anybody, because we're visual people. We learn through the senses. So there's Sermon on the Mount. So they're good just to kind of have, and you can sometimes just sit and look at them, especially during Lent now. Look, there's a lovely. So I recommend that book, and you can get all of these kind of secondhand. And then for prayer life, so at the end of the day, if they don't have prayer life, if we don't have prayer life, we'll all fall short. So this one is, most of my teenagers have used this book, which is Pure Faith, a prayer book for teens, which is put together by Jason Everett. Catholic Answers published it, and it has all the lovely, all the classic prayers of the church, how to pray, all sorts of, specific kind of intentions, the chaplet, prayer before the Blessed Sacrament, prayers at Mass, confession, and so on. That's a really nice one. It's a lovely size, and it looks nice, and it's kind of just a really nice format. So I would say get your teens this. It's widely available. So it's called Pure Faith. Very, very nice. And then this, I have to put a little plug in for the Saint Jose Maria, the Saint of Ordinary Life. This was mine when I was a teen. So a little copy of The Way, and The Way, as you might know, has brought so many people on the path to holiness, so little points of prayer, and even though they're short, they can really, when I was a child, my parents had this book, and I used to think it was magic, because no matter where you open it, it was like the message was for you. But I would say get a little copy of that for yourself. That's very widely available as well. It's such a classic, Saint Jose Maria Escrivá. So that's some of what I have used for older teens. And I'd say as well, use podcasts. There's some really great podcasts available. Catholic Answers. There's all sorts of. There's just so much available. But make sure they're good. They're good, authentic ones, because if you can't find them, just ask somebody to recommend what is actually are good ones to follow and for teens. So just and pray for your teens, because God has your back. So good luck with that. So thanks for watching, and the next day I think I'll do the one about growing up and the facts of life. So thanks for watching.